This is Andy Purewal, Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Paul Butler over Zoom. Paul, firstly, how are you doing?
I'm all good, mate. How yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm sure this is probably the 10th, or if not more, the interviews you've done since yesterday. Obviously, the man who now holds three of the other versions of a world title in your weight class, Inoue, overcame Nonito Donaire in their, I say rematch, but obviously it's a couple of years on from when they
Mm.
recently fought to pick up the third belt. Just going straight into it, Paul, what did you make of his devastating performance in that fight?
Yeah, he was destructive, mate. He always is. As soon as he tags someone and he gets them hurt, he's a great finisher, and he obviously didn't let Donaire off the hook after the first round. He's jumped all over him and devastating finish.
How did you actually anticipate the fight playing out? Because I don't see many who would have thought it would have been over within 2 rounds.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I honestly thought he'd start touching the body like he did late on in the first fight, and then he'd get to him after 6, 7, 8, and get to him around about the 10 mark, through body shots. But yeah, what he done there was special. Like I've touched on it a few times. I do think he caught him cold a little bit, with it being the first round, but it was a great shot, and that shot takes out most people anyway. Do you know what I mean? Donaire gets up, he's not fully recovered by the time he comes out from into the second round, and I think Inoue spots that straight away and jumps all over it.
It was obviously in the final few seconds of the first round when Inoue
Mm.
originally hurt Danier. Going into that second round, he just pounced on him immediately, trying to get the job done. Do you believe the referee could have stepped in sooner?
Yeah, I think he catches him with a left hook, and then his legs go to jelly, and then I think you've got to look at it in two ways. He's in there with Nonito Donaire, who's an absolute legend, and everyone knows how much of a warrior he is. But then you've got to look at it on, he's in there with Inoue, do you know what I mean? And he's a devastating. And if you're giving him a free shot, he's going to hurt you. So I do believe it should have been stopped after that left hook, what literally wobbled him everywhere.
What did you make of the two shots which dropped Nonito?
The
The first
the
one at
two
the end of the first, and then obviously the one which ended it.
first one was a great shot. I think Donaire's plan was to try and push him back and try and bully him. I know he's came out and said he was trying to jab him, trying to find them openings. But I think if that was the plan, then he maybe got a little bit too greedy, and he got caught with that right hand on the way in. I think it was over the top of a left hook what he was trying to throw himself. That was a great shot. And then the shot that actually finished the fight was a left hook right on top of the head. That was another great shot. But like I say, he was basically having 3 shots at that point. Just before that, if you watch it, I think it's about 4 seconds before that, he throws a jab and boom, it knocks his head back. Now if Donaire's on the ball and he's got a little bit about him, he just pushes that out the way, but he's giving him 3 shots there, and the left hook that does actually finish the fight is pretty much a free shot as well.
Paul, we obviously know the devastating power Inoue possesses, but one thing which has kind of been circulating in the last day or so is, I said day or so, the fight was only yesterday anyway, but is Inoue having his hands wrapped. Now, I'm no expert in hand wrapping, but as a fighter, somebody who's had it done many times throughout your career, what did you make of the footage which has been shown since?
To me, it looks like he's getting his hands stacked. It looks like he's got bandage, tape, then he'll go back to bandage, and then they have to be taped again over that. So that ends up going like a plaster, so it ends up like solid. Obviously, once he starts sweating in a warm up and during the fight, but different commissions, different rules. I touched on something, I think it was yesterday. I wonder if there's any footage of him getting his hands wrapped in Scotland under the British Boxing Board of Control rules. That'd be interesting to see, because Donaire had his team around him while he was getting his hands wrapped. So if any of them, if it was illegal what he was doing, surely one of them would have pulled him up on it. and then he had the commission around him as well. So there's a lot of people around him. So we don't know what the ruling is in Japan, but it'd be nice to see what really happened in Scotland.
I mean, he says, you know, a couple of things, as you say there. We don't know the rulings over there in comparison to here in the UK. But for yourself, let's say a fight could be made, would that be something of a stipulation for you that you'd look to put in a contract with regards to you'd either want it to happen in the UK or maybe in a certain state in America, wherever it was to happen. But if it was to happen in Japan, but they're allowing those types of hand wrapping to take place, would you have an issue with it?
Yeah, obviously if it's banned with our commission, then it should be, well, I was going to say it should be banned everywhere, but I know everywhere's a little bit different, but I'm sure it'd be something that we'd want to change. Listen, he's an hard enough punch as it is. He doesn't need to be stacking his hands of what it looks like anyway. There's a lot of tape that goes on the hand to start with. Then he'll bandage, then he'll tape again. So I'm sure it'll be something that we look into, yeah. And I think that was the first time in a while he's wore cleto rays as well. So that's another one. Do you know what I mean? That he's obviously going in there to do damage. He normally wears winnings, which are quite soft. He's got the cleto rays on, and it looks like his hands are being stacked.
What do you make of his glove selection? Obviously, for those in boxing, we know razor generally there's very little padding in there, so
Yeah.
it can obviously cause more damage when landing a punch. What did you make of that?
I was shocked, to be honest, that he came out in them. He normally wears winnings, and I like the winning gloves myself. And when he came out in rays, I thought he normally wears winnings. Wonder why he's got them on. And then later on, the video started circling, and then it clicked. I thought, no wonder he's got rays on. He'd obviously planned on obviously not wanting it to go long, and he's thought I'll wear the winnings, or you never know. He might have had previous hand injuries in the past, and his hands might be a lot better now. But for the first time, the first time I've seen him wear rays, and that's the first time I've seen him get his hands bandaged as well.
Now, Paul, obviously moving on to yourself and how you come into the equation, you hold the only other world title which Inoue does not, meaning I'm sure you'll want to try and get an undisputed bout underway, talks to begin there. Have you got any kind of information on that front? Have your team reached out at all to his team?
I think there might have been like a little talk of like, would you be interested in the fight? Would you come to Japan? We'd like to come to England. Other than that, I don't think there's been much, but I think we want the fight. So if they want to make it before the end of the year, which I know they want to do, because I know he wants to move up, then I'm all for that. Do you know what I mean? If he wants to fight before December, then let's go.
Paul, how confident are you that you would be able to be the man who could overcome the challenge of Inoue? Because, and I'm sure you've seen the comments over social media, a lot of people have written you off before the fight's even been made.
Mate, I know it's completely different kettle of fish, but everyone wrote me off with Sultan. I know it's completely different. Sultan's a great fighter, but you're looking at a great ear. Listen, you've just got to come up with the right game plan, haven't you? And obviously, I've been into every single fight, and I've in my own mind, I'm going in there to win, and that's exactly what I'll do with Inoue. If I go in there with the mindset of right, I'm going in here and I'm going into the Lions Den and I'm getting beat, then what is the point of me even being in the sport? Do you know what I mean? You've got to go in there with a game plan, and if you get tagged, you get tagged. It happens, doesn't it? Look how many he's put away.
What do you deem to be the right way to go about trying to overcome Inoue?
I don't know. It'd be tough. I haven't really sat down and watched him to study him as an opponent. I've always watched him as a fan. So you'd have to sit down, but there's hardly any weaknesses, is there, with him? He does everything correct. He is the perfect fighter. He's the complete fighter. His hands are up. He's nice and tight. His feet are great. His feet are like, I call it GB feet, where he's up on his toes, he's bouncing, he's moving. He's always setting traps. And then he's got the punch power to go with it. So what's there not to like about him? And I do believe he is the complete fighter. I think he's got everything.
Now, Paul, just kind of sticking with yourself, but away from Inoue, I also wanted to get your thoughts on a certain Sonny Edwards. Obviously, we've seen some previous, going back a few months now, back and forth over social media between yourselves, and I saw your father involved as
Yeah, it's
well.
not me. It's not me. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I wouldn't retaliate to that.
okay, can I just kind of get an understanding from your point of view as to where those conversations had actually, not conversations, those kind of Twitter interactions rather had become from?
I think it started with my dad writing something to him. I can't remember what it was, to be honest. And then he started going in, and they were arguing, and then it was, I'll come up 2 weights. But let's be realistic, man. I train with his brother. Imagine me on the same bag as Charlie, punching the bag to try and beat his brother. It doesn't work, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's a pathetic shout, and that is a fight that'll never happen.
That's fair enough, Paul. Obviously, we can move on from that one on that note. But just a final one, just get your thoughts on. Obviously, you got Mark Efron in camp getting ready for his chance to challenge for those British and Commonwealth titles against Lennox Clark. How is Mark doing?
Mark's improving every single day, mate. Every week he's sparring, he's listening. I think he's in a happy place now. I think he's in a very good place. Like I touched on, he's improving every single day, and I think you'll see the best of Mark on fight night. And I think you'll see a devastating knockout.
All right, Paul, that. And I appreciate your time this morning. Now I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. And I appreciate you speaking to me in Boxing Social.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.